What's up, everybody? You are in the yard with Marcus Preciado, where faith and sports collide. I'm Marcus Preciado, and our lovely and talented co-host, Jefferson Drexler, over there. How you doing, Jefferson? Say hello to everybody in podcast land.
Hey, everybody. I don't know about lovely, but I will help you out, brother.
You're lovely, man. Seriously. Take a good look at yourself. Put that camera on you, man. The camera loves you. Hey, if you're new to the show, and of course everybody is new, Jefferson, this show is real simple. We review the week of sports. We have some fun, but more importantly, we will have a special guest on where they can talk about how faith and sports collide in their world. And today, we've got a great guest. We have Anthony Bass that's going to be joining us. He's a Mariners pitcher. So we're going to be talking a little Major League Baseball today. Also want to say a great thank you to our partners here in San Diego, Christian Podcast Central. Thank you for partnering with us and making this happen. Well, let's get into it right away. We want to talk about the three things. I'm going to talk about top three things that jumped out at me over the weekend. Now, these might not be the most important items in sport, but these are things that jumped out at me and I want to cover. So here we go. All right, number three, Carolina is better without Cam Newton. Yes, I said it. They are better without Cam Newton. What do you think about that?
I think they've got an MVP on their team in Christian McCaffrey.
Well, that's the deal, man. You know, the quarterback's job is really to be the point guard for the team. And if you take a look at Cam, he's got everything you want. But he's not winning.
Right.
And so they were 0-2 with Cam to begin the season. And now they are 3-2. Kyle Allen, last week they had a 34-27 victory over the Jaguars. Listen to this stat line. He was 17 for 30, pedestrian, for 181 yards. No big deal. No touchdowns, but no interceptions. But it was McCaffrey mayhem versus Minshew mania, right? And they have an MVP candidate on their team. Just get the ball to him. Just be the point guard. And I hate to say it, but they are better without Cam Newton.
Well, and as you've said before, the guys on the field, they don't care about fantasy numbers. They don't care about those stats, whether they're padded or not. They care about one number only, and that's the W.
Absolutely. And you know what? Kyle Allen is 3-0 this year. He's only started 4 games in his life, and 3 of them this year. So Kyle Allen is doing well. Carolina is better without Cam Newton. And my number 2 is... Welcome back, NBA. You know, I'm not a huge NBA fan, Jefferson, but I like that it's around, right? I like that people are playing because, frankly, I really don't pay attention to the NBA until the playoffs. And NBA, you know, they say you can just watch basically the last 15 minutes of the game and you can get the game. But I'm glad it's here.
You know what I found is I liked that I turned on my channel guide while watching football and just to see that the Lakers were playing the Nuggets. I didn't switch on the game, but it was comforting to know that it was there.
Yeah,
right?
It's, you know, the NBA to me is like a sugar cereal. Captain Crunch, perhaps Fruit Loops.
Lucky Charms.
Lucky Charms. Oh, my gosh. You know what? I like when they're in the closet, right? I like when they're in the pantry. And I'm not eating them every day, but I like when I open them up or sometimes at night, I'm going, you know what? If I wanted to, I could go eat some Captain Crunch right now, but I'm not going to. But it just makes me happier that it's there. That's the NBA for me. I'm just glad it's there, but there's some great storylines this year. And, of course, we know the storylines, but particularly here for us on the West Coast, we got the Lakers versus the Clippers subplot. We know we've got LeBron and Anthony Davis, a super team perhaps, and the drama with Kawhi Leonard. Shout out to San Diego State, all my Aztecs out there, right? It's going to be a great season, and I'm just happy that NBA is back. Number one thing that jumped out at me over the weekend, and I hate to admit it, but number one, this is bothering me, Jefferson, that I'm having a desire to support this team. Because as a Charger fan, growing up, I hated the Raiders. But I tell you what, Gruden is good for the NFL. And that's what jumped out at me for this number 3, that Gruden is really good for the NFL. What are your thoughts on that?
I'm with you. You know, the entire reason I'm a Kansas City Chiefs fan, and the entire reason why I'm a Chiefs fan is because a mentor of my dad's when I was a kid was a former Raider. And so purely out of rebellion, I was like, all right, well, then I'll like the Chiefs. It pains my heart to like the Raiders or appreciate the Raiders, but there's some good stuff going on there.
Well, I think a couple things happened as former Raider haters. They were so bad for so long, right? So I remember,
You didn't want to watch the team. You just wanted to see the guys in the costumes in the stands, right?
yeah, and you finally it came to a point where you just felt bad for the Raiders, right? You just felt bad for them. And I remember when the Chargers were still in San Diego, that they would just beat the Raiders year after year after year. And finally, it's like, man, you kind of felt bad for the guys, right? So they weren't that big and mean. They were kind of pathetic for a while. But now they've got Gruden, and Gruden is great for the NFL. They've got some great guys on their team. Their quarterback is a great guy. He loves the Lord. So it's kind of hard to hate them now. As a matter of fact, not only not hate them, but kind of root for them. You know, they had a big victory this weekend.
In London.
Yes, in London. And I fell in love with Gruden even more because after the win, he comes in to give a speech to his team, Jefferson. And I've coached many years, and after a good win, you want to come back to the team and really inspire them, and you want to talk to them, and you want to really put an exclamation point on that victory. But this weekend in London, I don't know if it was the flight, Coach Gruden decided, you know what, how am I going to put the exclamation point on this big win? And he thought to himself, you know what? Well, do you have the clip? Do we have the clip?
I do.
Well,
Here's Coach.
Let's pull that up.
Hey, listen, I don't have a disco in here. I don't have a disco. Well, let's all start dancing.
Let's start dancing.
So I'm thinking, what's going through his mind? He's got to talk to his team, and he tells them, okay, this is his quote. Hey, listen. First of all, hey, listen means he really wants their attention. Guys, hey, listen. Okay, if the coach says, hey, listen, you're going to be listening. What comes next? I don't have a disco in here. Really?
You
Gruden?
put that in your overnight bag, Coach?
Did he think he had to clarify that? Did he think maybe the guys, look, I want to start dancing, but maybe the guys think I have a disco in here. I need to make sure they know, Jefferson, there's no disco in here. So he says, hey, listen, I don't have a disco in here. But he doubles up on it. I don't have a disco. Play it again. Play it again. You got to analyze these things.
Here's Coach Gruden.
Hey, listen, I don't have a disco in here. I don't have a disco. Well, let's all start dancing.
So he says, hey, listen, I don't have a disco in here. I don't have a disco, but it's okay, guys.
Everybody's got a great big butt.
We're all right. We're all right. Don't worry about it, guys. But let's all start dancing. All right. Then the dance ensues. I want to take a look at the dance, Jefferson, in slow motion, if we can take a look at that.
Slow motion. Here's Coach. And we really need to take a tight look at this.
Okay.
Look at him go.
So here's his dance moves. What in the world is this guy doing? This is like Thriller meets Hillsong. Put it on again. Put it on again. Let me see him. Just look at this. It's close to midnight. Da, 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 da. Better is one day in your courts. Better is one day in your house. Coach Gruden is great for the NFL. Now, here's my going yard for the week. So going yard is when I talk about a bold prediction. I'm calling my shot. Here it is. Are you ready, Jefferson?
Hit me.
5 years from now, the NCAA won't exist as we know it.
Oh, come on.
There you go.
The NCAA.
The
All the conferences.
NCAA will not exist as we know it. Now, the little caveat there, as we know it. Here's the deal. They made over $1 billion in revenue last year, which I don't have a problem with. I'm not pro-paying the players. I'm not anti-paying the players. That's not my contention. My contention is this. There's going to be so much social pressure for them to change. They're not going to be able to adapt. And the social pressure and the messaging and all the people and the stories and voices can move rapidly and fast and quick. And the NCAA is a battleship. And it takes a long time for the battleship to turn. They're not going to be able to turn and get ahead of that messaging, and I think it is going to fall apart. Hey, listen, I know this sounds crazy, but if the Soviet Union fell apart, you didn't think in 82 when you were in social studies class, right? And you were thinking about the Soviet Union, did you think that it was going to fall apart?
So you're saying that the comrades on board the NCAA are going to meet the same demise?
Yes, I'm not comparing him to the Russian leadership, the Soviet leadership. I'm just saying, if the Soviet Union can fall apart, so can the NCAA. And in 5 years, it won't be around as we know it. What do you think about that?
I can see where you're coming from as far as the major sports, especially basketball and baseball. What concerns me with that is how does that affect we'll call it the lesser sports, the water polos, the field hockeys, soccer, etc. I understand I heard a point over the weekend that really made sense to me and really resonated is everybody's talking about should the players be played or should they not, or paid, I should say, or should they not be. Nobody's talking about how they're going to be paid. And I think that's where the NCAA is really going to run into those obstacles like you're talking about, because nobody's talking about the how of the problem.
Yeah, and I don't think it's going to be pretty, Jefferson. I think it's going to be crazy. I mean, there's the NAIA that people don't talk about. Mm-hmm. So there is this other conference that's mutually exclusive from the NCAA. And they do it, and they do it well. I bet you there's going to be some sort of hybrid or some sort of new organization that encompasses those, because the NAIA schools, they figured it out and they run it well. And once again, I'm not saying that they should pay the players or they shouldn't. I'm just saying they're not ready for it.
Right.
And it's going to grow. And 5 years from now, you guys, I'm going yard. I called my shot. NCAA will not exist as we know it. Well, let's get into our joy and pain section when we talk about what brought us joy and pain in the last week.
Here we go. Joy. Come on. Here we go. Pain. Pump it up. Sunshine. Yeah. And rain.
I love it. Joy. This is what brought me joy last week, is that the Major League Baseball playoffs are here. Finally, I have an excuse to play baseball, to watch baseball, to throw the baseball with my son. It's here. I love the Major League Baseball playoffs, but I am indifferent about the season. Do you find yourself in that spot as well?
Well, for me, Marcus, I grew up playing baseball. I memorized lineups. I memorized stats. I was a baseball junkie. But I'll admit, as an adult, I just don't have the time for that many games.
Yeah.
There's too much in my life. So, it's nice to have the condensed, I love the wild card. One game, out, done.
Yeah. So I like what's going on now. I'm excited about the playoffs. I have a solution for Major League Baseball, because I don't think we're the only ones. I think it's kind of the norm. There's so many games, so many things going on, and I don't know of many people that really follow the baseball season, regular season, except for hardcore baseball fans, which is a small group. But typically it's guys like us, guys that love sports, want to see sports, have families, don't have that much time. But I have a solution. You mentioned this in one of our past shows. You mentioned about collecting cards when you were a young man, and that's pretty much dead. So the solution is, listen up, Major League Baseball. Look at me. Listen to me today, but believe me tomorrow. In the famous words of Hans and Franz. You ready? Major League Baseball? Digital players cards. Bam. What do you think, Jefferson?
Okay, first of all, that's 2 going yards in one show. I don't know if our audience can handle that. But secondly, I think you're right. I mean, everything is on our phones these days, right? So why not cards? And I mean, I'd rather have my kids collecting that than Pokemon, that's for certain.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, make them for the kids, make them so they can trade, you know, pass them to each other, buy them, purchase them, see their stats. But that's going to be the wave of the future. You heard it here first. My pain for the weekend was Coach Gruden of the Redskins.
The other Gruden.
Now listen, I don't really mind that he got fired. It doesn't mean much to me. This is why it bothers me, Jefferson. Because I think they had a chance to go 0-16. And it's easy to be bad in a season. Listen to me, Redskin fans. Anybody can go 2-14, 3-13. But it takes dedication, it takes purpose, it takes passion, it takes focus to go 0-16. And now I think with this new coach, the guy's going to be revitalized, and they're actually maybe going to win a game. And I was really, really hoping they'd go 0-16, because that's an accomplishment. That is something special.
But it had to be done simply because Miami's already said tap, tap on the 0-16 for the 2019 season.
Yes.
We can't have 2 teams go 0-16.
Well,
Washington
it was
had
going to be
make
a
change,
great, great race. Jefferson, what were your...
Here we go, joy. Come on, here we go.
Come on.
Sunshine. Yeah. And rain.
What you got for us?
So, all right, real quickly, I got to speak. I had a speaking engagement over the weekend, and on Sunday I got to speak at the Fire Up Connect event in Carlsbad, where I got to see our keynote speaker, Wes Chandler, formerly of the receiver for the New Orleans Saints and Niners, and of course the Chargers, and he was just so inspirational. It was awesome. He got me fired up. Problem is, because I was at that event all day, I was gone and missed all the morning games, all the afternoon games. I got to see my Chiefs in the evening, though, but I got to see them annihilated by the Colts. And when I say annihilate, I don't mean just they lost the game, brother. They were falling down one after another with injury. It was hard to watch.
Well, you know, that's a real cool thing to spend time with Wes Chandler. He was a hero of mine growing up in the Air Coryell days.
Ooh, he was
and that is cool, man. Yeah, so you had your joy and pain all wrapped up in one. Speaking of wrapping up, we're going to wrap up this section here, guys. Stay tuned because we have Anthony Bass that's going to be joining us here in the yard. Stay tuned. You're in the yard with Marcus Preciado, where faith and sports collide. On the line right now, we've got Mariners pitcher Anthony Bass. Anthony, thank you for joining us. How you doing, brother?
Marcus, I'm doing well. How you doing?
Great, man. Hey, thanks for being on the show. We really appreciate it. What are you up to right now? We're stuck in the studio. What are you up to right now?
Right now, my off season started a little early, unfortunately. So I'm at home, just hanging out with my girls. I have the TV on right now, watching the Rays take on the Astros, and the Rays are putting it to them right now.
So, as a professional baseball player, Anthony, I'm interested to know, how does the postseason look and feel to you just as a baseball fan? Because I'm sure you were a huge fan growing up.
Yeah, I mean, I remember as a kid falling in love with the sport, and it's just, you know, a great game. I love all the strategy involved, knowing almost like a chess match, kind of knowing the next pitch to set up the previous pitch, knowing the speed of the base runners, knowing who's at the plate. There's a lot of different facets of the game that I just love. And, you know, unfortunately, like I said, my season ended early. I wish I could be playing still, but I enjoy watching these guys compete, and they're some of the best in the world. So it's always fun to watch.
Now, you've had the blessing to be on the Padres, and, you know, that's when we were able to meet, and with the Astros, the Rangers, the Cubs, and, of course, right now with the Mariners. What has been maybe some of your favorite experiences, Anthony, through the different teams and places that you've been?
I would say one common theme that I always take away are those championship teams I've been a part of. In 2015 with the Rangers, we won the American League West title. So to be able to celebrate on the field after game 162 was a lot of fun and special. I had my family on the field with me. And then also I went over to Japan the following year in 2016 and won the championship in Japan and was able to celebrate, with all my teammates on the field. And those teams are very special, and I'll always remember my time with the Rangers and then with my time with the Fighters over in Japan.
Wow, that's awesome, man. It's very rare to win championships, man. That's cool. You've been blessed to do that. And speaking of blessed, I know not only do you love baseball, but you love your family as well. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your family and how you balance, the strains of professional baseball, the travel, and being a husband and a daddy?
Yeah, it's the best. Me and my wife, Sydney, we've been married for 3 years now, and we have a little girl. Her name is Brooklyn. She just turned 2 last month, and it's been a lot of fun having them with me during the season, and I'm fortunate enough to do that. One of the biggest challenges I feel like a lot of athletes do face is being able to separate your work and your family life and not taking it home with you. And I feel like my wife, she'll commend me on being able to turn the switch on and off. When I'm at the field, I'm focused on baseball and doing my job, and regardless of what the results are that night, good or bad, I leave it at the field, and when I come home, it's dad mode, husband mode. My attention's all on them, and I think in doing so, it really helps me balance my life, because if all I did and thought about was baseball, I think I might lose that love and passion for the sport. Being able to have that balance with my family along with my work life, I think really helps me just live a more balanced, happy, fun lifestyle that way. But also, there's no doubt that it's tough with the travel and being gone quite a bit. We'll have road trips that I'll be gone for a week and a half away from them. It's tough. Thank God for FaceTime. I'll tell you that much. Being able to see my wife and my daughter and kind of keep up with what they're up to. And I feel like whenever I come home from those long road trips, my daughter's vocabulary has grown so much, and she looks like she's getting bigger, and it's tough to be away from her for that long. But I understand that it's part of the business, and I'm just enjoying the ride.
Yeah, that's great, man. That's great that you've got that perspective and that you maximize your time right now with your family. And I know, like we said, baseball is important. I know obviously family is important, Anthony, but being able to spend time with you as well, I know that your faith is important as well. Why don't you share with us, how does faith play a role in your life and as a husband, father, and baseball player?
Yes, absolutely. During the season, baseball, we're constantly at the field, and on Sundays usually we have a baseball game, so you can't really go to church in the morning. So one thing that's nice about baseball is they have a chapel leader every Sunday, wherever you're home or if you're on the road. And what they do is, it's usually a local pastor in the area that comes in, and they have a message prepared for whoever would like to come in that day and listen to the message. And it's usually about 15-20 minutes long, and it's just a good refresher every week for me just to stay in the Word. I feel like when I get away from the Word for too long, I can get easily distracted with the things that are going on in this world. When I'm constantly, picking up my Bible and going to chapel every Sunday during the season, it's just a good reminder of where my focus should be on at all times, and that's Jesus. And I feel like that in itself takes care of a lot of the chaoticness in life. I'm not saying that life's easy, but it helps me just to remain focused on my priority, and that's my relationship with Jesus.
Wow, that is awesome, man. And how did you come to know the Lord, Anthony? How did you come to know Jesus as your Savior?
So I grew up in a Christian household. Both my parents attended non-denominational churches as a kid, and it was always a part of my life early on. But I really decided to become baptized and publicly proclaim my my faith with Jesus in 2010. I was in the minor leagues with the Padres, and it had always been on my mind that I wanted to become baptized. I wasn't baptized as a baby, and I know that in the Christian faith it's important to become baptized. And it just kind of laid on me one day that, I think this is the time in my life where I think I know for a fact that I want people to know, this is who I am, and I want my family and friends in attendance when I get baptized. And it's just been a great experience and great journey ever since then. And I mean, like I said earlier, life doesn't get easier, but I definitely know where I'm going and who's in control, and that just makes everything better.
Yeah, wow, man, those are powerful words, man, and it's great that you've got your perspective right. As awesome, Anthony, as Major League Baseball is, I know for you it doesn't compare to having a family, a wife, a daughter, and of course a faith in Jesus Christ. Hey, Anthony, thank you so much for joining us today, man. I appreciate it. We look forward to having you back on here really soon, and I hope you have a great day, and God bless you and your family, Anthony.
God bless you too, Marcus. Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, man. We'll talk to you soon. Another huge thank you to Anthony Bass. Anthony, we wish you the best of luck. It's great to see you have priorities straight. And a thank you to Christian Podcast Central. Of course, this is Marcus Preciado. Join us next week in the Yard.